So we're here at the University of Pennsylvania with Stephen A. Smith. My first question for you is, you spent a lot of time in Philadelphia in the past and presently working for the Philadelphia Inquirer. Do you have a favorite memory from your time here in Philadelphia?
My favorite time was when the Sixers made their run to the NBA Finals back in 2001. I mean, to cover that team, to see this city, the electricity that ran through this city. I mean, every block you walked through, the streets were just buzzing with excitement. When you saw that, I mean, believe it or not, to me, that was more exciting than when the Eagles went to the Super Bowl. It really, really was. And we know this is a football town. But just the electricity with Allen Iverson and those boys, going in a 7-game series, beating Toronto, going through a 7-game series, beating Ray Allen and Sam Cassell and Glenn Robinson from Milwaukee, before going to the finals against the Lakers. I mean, to me, to this day, that was the greatest experience that I ever had in Philadelphia. Just that whole run, every day was exciting, and I loved it.
So that was a highlight of the Sixers era. Currently, they're mired in an 0-7 start. They look like they're going to be a lock for another lottery pick, but they have a lot of young players like Noel and Michael Carter-Williams and Embiid if he comes back healthy next year. Where do you see the Sixers 2 years down the road?
I think they'll be a little respectable. I mean, if they lose games, it'll be because they don't know how to win, not because they can't play. Because I do believe that they're accumulating some young talent, and they've got some young talent with skills. They're not bona fide scrubs. But when you are rife with an experience, and you're just a novice in every sense of the word, and you don't know how to win, that's a difficult thing to overcome when you're going against an abundance of pros who do know how to win. Just because people didn't win the championship don't mean they don't know how to win. The Chicago Bulls don't have a championship since Jordan retired. It doesn't mean that Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah and them don't know how to win. Same could be said for Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. Same could be said for the Clippers. Same could be said for the Golden State Warriors. The list goes on and on. There are an abundance of teams with skilled players who know how to win. You have to be a winner in order to beat them. You don't have to be a winner to beat the Sixers. You don't even have to be mediocre to beat the Sixers. All you have to do is not be a scrub and know how to play some semblance of team basketball, and you can beat the Sixers. Because the 76ers are not accumulating a team. They're accumulating individual parts who know how to play, and it will develop into a team in time, a year or two from now, but not right now.
So you're in town to broadcast your new show on Sirius XM Radio. What can you tell us about the new show that just launched last month?
I leave that to other people. For me, I'm going to be Stephen A. I'm going to say what I feel. I'm going to mean what I say. I'm going to bring the rain. That's what I do. I don't hold back. I'm not shy about how I feel. I'm rarely apologetic for it, and that's just the way that it goes. I step on the airwaves, and my goal is to make sure everybody knows that I'm here. They understand that I'm energized, ready, and roaring. And that's what I like to do. I don't like to cheat my listeners or my viewers. I make sure that people who are listening to me know that you're listening to somebody who wants to be on those airwaves that you're listening to. Who tries to know what the hell he's talking about. Tries to be fair and objective and call it like I see it, but at the same time being hard-hitting, because I'm not into being PC. I'm not into pacifying or engaging in timidity or anything like that. I feel what I feel, and if you can't take a position, then why the hell should somebody listen to you try to take one? If you really, really think about it, when you're listening to radio, you're asking people to listen to radio because of you. It's the Stephen A. Smith Show. So they need to make sure that they're getting, all that I've got. And that's what I try to bring. And I leave it for other people to judge.
There seem to be so many issues plaguing professional sports right now, from PEDs to domestic abuse. What do you really see as the biggest issue that's plaguing professional athletes today, and what steps do you think could be taken to raise awareness to cut down on some of these issues?
To me, the biggest issue is despite the fact that a majority of these sports are team sports, is that we have a lot of our professional athletes that are becoming more and more individualized. They are about their brand, they are about their name, they are about their marketing, they are about those kind of things. And I think that we've morphed into a society where we've got to be incredibly careful about what we wish for, because we might get it. You want these guys to act right and all of this other stuff. Well, if somebody's in your face, always saying all the right things and always appearing as if they're doing the right thing, you might wake up one day and find out they were Ray Rice. You might wake up one day and find out that there was somebody else, because you weren't paying attention, because they smiled in your face and they said all the right things, and never in your wildest dreams could you believe that they would do such a thing. Perhaps we should be more embracing, for lack of a better word, of folks that are just real, that just give you who they are straight up, and judge accordingly, and not judge so harshly, because those people who are real and authentic usually aren't the ones who sold their soul for a buck or a few bucks. And I think that's something to constantly be mindful of.
What advice would you give to young journalists or even young journalism students that are looking to break into the world of sports broadcasting as a reporter?
Follow the money. And the reason why I tell them to follow the money is because you go to the University of Pennsylvania, your education costs anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000. You want to make a job earning $50,000? Taking you a decade to pay off your debt? I don't think you want to do that. And we're averse to saying this because it's not the most popular thing to say or do, or whatever the case may be. But you get a great education so you can get your degree. You get your degree so you can get a great job, which is a career. Because a career is doing what you have, a job is doing what you have to do to get paid and maintain or elevate a quality of life. A career is doing what you want to do, and it just so happens to do those things. You're after a career. You want to be happy. But I can assure you, if you're broke, happiness is not a part of the equation. Because if you're constantly worried about paying your bills, going through the trials and tribulations of doing that stuff, you find yourself a prisoner of your job itself. You got to come to work. Can't afford to take the day off. You got to take smack from work. You can't afford to do anything else. You got to take smack from bosses and colleagues and all that stuff, because you need this job. And when you have that kind of life that you have to succumb to, happiness is not a part of the equation, because that life is not yours. The goal is to make sure that you come as close as you possibly can to having your own life. And the best way of doing that is to put yourself in a position where you can achieve the most level of success to provide the greatest comfort imaginable. Doesn't mean you have to be rich. Doesn't mean anything like that. Doesn't mean that people that are struggling to some degree financially aren't happy at all. It just means that when you are struggling financially, you're going to find yourself a prisoner of something. And if you had the wherewithal, the intestinal fortitude, and all of that stuff that comes with it to ultimately get your education, you should also be able to parlay that into a good career. Because if you haven't done that, then you've defeated the purpose. There is something wrong with somebody who has no education, and they could be a sanitation worker or something like that, and which is nothing wrong with it, by the way, but they could do something along those lines, and they find themselves making more money than somebody that got a 4-year education. There is something wrong with that picture. And it's usually because people were going after the paper, but they didn't pay attention to the industry and the benefits it reaps. You got to do your homework. I have a newspaper background. I worked for the Philadelphia Inquirer for 16 years. But my 5th year in the newspaper business, I was in television. My 7th year in the newspaper business, or rather my 10th year in the newspaper business, I was in radio. So I made sure that I diversified my portfolio, giving me greater opportunities in this medium without sacrificing what I went to school for to learn. And I parlayed that into an abundance of opportunity. And now the least of my problems are money.
Great. And finally, if you could just tell us something about Stephen A. Smith that our viewers might not know about you already that would surprise or even shock them.
I'm incredibly happy. I have a wonderful inner circle filled with family and friends. I'm actually a very nice guy, although I don't like people to know that. I have the greatest mother in the world. I have 4 older sisters. I was raised by 5 wonderful women that watch over me like a hawk. I consider myself incredibly protected. But at the same time, I'm very much loved, not just by them, my boys, my inner circle, my family members, etc. I'm in need of very little because the people that I have around me love me in a way that I am thoroughly taken care of in my own way. So I'm in need of very little. The only reason why it appears otherwise is because I pound the pavement, I'm aggressive, I'm incredibly ambitious, I'm tireless, I'm relentless, and I have no mercy on anybody that tries to compete with me. I'm straight up, I'm legit, I don't backstab, but I'm like a Mack truck. I come at you and I will steamroll over you, and I will not even blink if you get in the way of what I am trying to succeed. I have no mercy, and I don't care. I'm about the business of accomplishing my goals, and anybody that gets in my way will get stopped. That is me.